Hey guys, Jason here. As promised in my Cobra Kai series review, I am doing the individual season reviews. I'm going to start with season 1 here. I might be talking a few spoilers, so if you haven't watched Cobra Kai yet, definitely check it out. It's on Netflix right now. And if you're still here, let's get on with it. When I first watched this show way back in 2018 on YouTube, I was blown away. It's a pretty solid first impression in that first season. I just liked how they really flipped the script, and what works about the show is that it's told mostly from Johnny Lawrence's perspective, taking a character that was once a one-dimensional villain in the first movie and turning him into a more fleshed out, multifaceted character was a very interesting idea. And it's something that kind of carries through to the rest of the series, which I will get into in my future season reviews. But the fact that 35 years later, this rivalry picks up again between Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso is interesting. And the fact that it all starts really from Johnny getting in an accident with Daniel's daughter, Sam, and her friends. And then from there, Johnny's looking for new outlook on life, new purpose, and realizes he has this gift in, karate, and decides to become a karate teacher and teach this kid, Miguel Diaz, who lives in his building, who he protected from some bullies in a parking lot, where in the complex that will become the future home of Cobra Kai. Now, the funny thing is too, Johnny in the beginning, he's still going through some of that wounding, some of that hurt, some of that pain that he went through, from losing the tournament. And it really kind of set him, we discover that kick in the face really kind of set him back. He stopped growing. He stopped, becoming a complete person. That's why it feels like, it's like he's living under a rock. He doesn't know much about how technology works. He really doesn't care. He's into all the, bands from the late 70s, early 80s, he's still driving a Firebird in that first season. And it isn't until he connects with this kid, Miguel, becomes reopens Cobra Kai and becomes a sensei to Miguel and subsequently these other students, that he starts to kind of pull himself out of this personal muck that he's been living in for the last several years. And it's caused some problems with his estranged son, Robbie. But because he brings Cobra Kai back, this brings back those memories that Daniel had of what he experienced with Cobra Kai. And Daniel has vowed to shut this dojo down at all costs, which leads them to the All Valley tournament. Now, I thought what was interesting too was that the season kind of serves as it's almost like the Karate Kid, but it's like a subversion of the original Karate Kid. You have Daniel, who's just kind of, lonely, just at the time he was kind of just a lonely kid, moved in from a small town, and he's being picked on by these Cobra Kai kids, depending on whose perspective you're looking at. By the way, I really enjoyed that moment in season 1 when Johnny tells his side of the story to Miguel. It kind of goes back to a video. It kind of reminds me of a YouTube video from a while back that paints Johnny as the good guy and Daniel as the bad guy. I thought that was really interesting. But he becomes this, Daniel becomes this karate kid. And really Miguel's like this nerdy, lonely, you know, starting a new school, that sort of thing. And he goes from being like a nerd to being like a bully himself. You start to see him change, and you start to see him, you know, by the end of it, he's, you know, no mercy, mercies for the weak. And he actually wins the tournament. And it's almost like, be careful what you wish for, because he starts a relationship with Sam LaRusso, you know, Daniel's daughter. And I mean, he almost becomes like a different person, because he's ruled by these emotions of anger and aggression. But Johnny kind of takes a step back and really does some work on himself later on in the season. Unfortunately, the Johnny who's been training these kids, especially Miguel, is not the same Johnny who coaches him at the end of the season. So he realizes the error of his ways, and then he's got to fix it. I can't really go on about this season, you know, without talking about my personal favorite episode. And I think it's the strongest episode of season 1. And that's episode 9, called Different But Same. In the episode, after, you know, Daniel's cousin Louie and some biker buddies set Johnny's car on fire, Johnny goes to Daniel's house to try to get retribution. And they're about to engage in a karate brawl in the pool, and Daniel's wife Amanda comes to the rescue. By the way, I love the character of Amanda LaRusso. She's the voice of reason. She's the adult in the room. So when the other adults are acting like children, she's the one kind of keeping things in perspective. So she suggests to Daniel just to give him a new car. Not a new car, but like a pre-owned car. And so because, you know, there's no one else who can do it, and he's not going to let his cousin Louie take Johnny for a test drive, Daniel's forced to take a test drive with Johnny. So the two of them kind of have the day together alone. And it's interesting because they learn things about each other that they find to be very similar in themselves. And it's the first moment in the series where you realize if they just let everything go, if they just drop this whole rivalry and just sit and talk like adults, they could actually become real friends. And, you know, it's that first glimmer of hope. But all the stuff that's been happening, all the machinations throughout the season come to a head. Johnny finds out that Daniel's been training his son Robbie, and Daniel finds out that Robbie is actually Johnny's son, which causes some tension between the two of them, between, you know, everybody. So then the tournament comes along, and it's down to Miguel and Robbie, and Miguel wins, but at what cost? Johnny's kind of like, what have I done? Seeing the person that he has turned Miguel into, and he's turning some of these students into, like, of course, Ethan, the cleft-lipped student who becomes and evolves into Hawk. He's kind of one of my favorite characters of this series as well. His transition is one of the best transitions throughout the series, and I'll get into more of that in the other seasons. But it's really kind of, Daniel has vowed to open his own dojo and take down Cobra Kai at all costs. Johnny's kind of trying to mull over what he has to do next, and the last thing he needs is the person that walks in the door of the dojo, which is his estranged former sensei who tried to kill him in Karate Kid Part 2, John Kreese. And that was a moment in the finale that I went back at least a couple times, and every time I was just like, I got really excited because the prospect of what was to come with the appearance of John Kreese was just too much to pass up. So I feel like season 1 was a solid first impression. But it's nothing compared to what would come in later seasons, and I'll get into that more. But it was definitely quite a solid first season for me. Let me know what you thought of Cobra Kai season 1 in the comments. You know, things that worked, things that didn't work, things that were kind of improved upon later on in the series. Just any thoughts in general. I'd love hearing from you guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, click that notification bell to get updates on all my future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.